call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
I have a problem, Mr. Singleton.
Well, that's not good.
I mean, it's a first world problem, to be clear.
Okay.
Which most of my problems are, thankfully. Here's the problem. I purchased a new vehicle.
Did you really?
I did.
What'd you get?
Went ahead and went with a Toyota Corolla hatchback.
Okay.
Yes.
What color?
It's red.
Okay.
It's red. Yes, figured. You know what? That only makes sense, right? Nice. I don't know that crimson would be the exact color that you would label it as, but it's crimson adjacent. So purchased this new vehicle, and I immediately realized when I got to the office, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to deal with this again. And what I mean when I say this again is that, and not to paint with too broad of a brush here, but Oklahoma is a state of blue-collar people, as we have discussed.
Yes.
And some very masculine men, which I have incredible respect for. But some of y'all, not all of y'all, but some of y'all are of the opinion that if you don't drive a truck, you're a sissy.
I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I am if I don't drive a truck. Smart with gas money.
Exactly. So, like, regardless of what vehicle I've driven over the years, you always get the comments, wow, Thune drives that. Thune drives a Ford Taurus. He drives a Nissan Rogue. He drives a Corolla hatchback. What a sissy ride. When I bought my previous car a few years back, it was, oh, so you drive an SUV now like a soccer mom. Now it's going to be, oh, you drive a hatchback like it, and you could use a variety of words that probably aren't FCC appropriate there. But I will probably never in my life purchase a truck.
Neither will I.
Because here's the thing. Yes, are trucks probably the most conventionally masculine rides you can obtain? Certainly. However, when you spend as much time on the road as I do, it is thoroughly impractical to purchase a truck.
Incredibly stupid.
The amount of money because trucks are expensive just up front. Like the amount of money that you have to spend to get a truck is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also, generally speaking, the gas mileage you're going to get in a truck is also not going to be spectacular. And with the amount of time that I spend on the road, I need something that's going to get me good gas mileage. I drove into the studio today and I shut my car off and looked at the little trip summary that it generates for you on the dashboard, and it said you got 39 miles per gallon on this trip.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, now we're cooking.
Like, you tell me I can get from Norman to back to my parents' house on the northeast side of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and use only half a tank? Man, I ain't getting no truck. Absolutely not. Also, a truck just wouldn't fit my personality either.
Angry Ronnie says, well, excuse us blue-collar guys that have to have a pickup for work for everyday life. Listen, Angry Ronnie, I feel like I was very explicit about this up front. I have a ton of respect for that. I'm not trying to be dismissive of that. Yes, especially if you need a truck for the work that you do, by all means, drive a truck. But a truck is not for all of us. It is certainly not for me.
4-star Evan from Blanchard said, Grayson, you drive a Hellcat? I do not drive a Hellcat. If there is a time in my life where I have money to buy a Hellcat, I will buy a Hellcat. Absolutely.
Sooner fan in Texas says, I drive a Chevy Silverado 1500 pickup, and it gets about 24 to 25 miles a gallon. That is no lie. I am very happy with it, and I take offense to saying that I am stupid for buying a truck. I don't think that's what Grayson was saying.
No. No, I was saying it would be stupid for him with as much as he is on the road. Let me be clear on that one.
I certainly would. And look,
I have plenty of friends that drive trucks. I no hate.
No hate whatsoever.
No.
Some people think I am stupid. I might be, but I would certainly be stupid if I was doing my work in a truck, because boy, that would be a lot of money out of my pocket every single year.
Cool Moj says, you P words.
Oh,
get yourself a Harley or die. How about get myself a Harley and possibly die? Also, my girlfriend would break up with me if I got a motorcycle.
Really?
Yes.
Not a motorcycle gal?
No, she would be incredibly mad if I got a motorcycle.
Stillwater Sooner says, I took Parker for a Prius kind of guy. Look, Priuses get the best mileage of any vehicle.
This is true.
Without question, but I've never been able to stomach even the thought of that because I know I'm going to get rightfully flamed if I purchase a Prius because there's no way around the fact that that's just not a very masculine car at all. Like on the spectrum of masculinity amongst vehicles,
yeah,
a Prius is all the way on the wrong end of the spectrum.
Yeah, like the range for masculinity when it comes to cars is a lot wider than I think certain people give it credit for. Like, you don't have to have a truck to be a man, but there are certain ones. There are certain ones that if you drive that, I'm gonna have some questions.
Gunny Stutzman Army says, fellas, I don't drive a truck, but I do have a Charger. My roommate in college had a Charger.
I would love to buy a Charger. I think that's going to be my next car.
Evan from Blanchard says, Grayson, you drive a Hellcat?
I just read that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I read that like 3 minutes ago.
I must have spaced out.
I wish I had a Hellcat, but one day we'll get the Hellcat.
The Waffler says, Thune went from the White Buffalo to Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. Cal from Southside says, I don't know. I think Subaru is at the bottom of the barrel for masculinity.
The realist says, Grayson needs to get a Hellcat so he can begin to fit in with his SMU peeps. I think they're driving even more bougie cars than that one.
I meant to bring it to you mostly as a joke, but I have an SMU wristband that I picked up at one of their camps a couple months ago. I keep meaning to bring it to you.
Do it.
Wear it on the pod. Show off the bling. It's not bling. It's rubber. But
yeah, I'd probably wear it.
303 listener says, as long as you don't have a coexist bumper sticker, you're fine. I will never stoop that low.
I will not get a coexist bumper sticker. No.
Brian and Bixby says, Parker, when I was in sales and driving 30,000 miles a year, I had a Prius. It was the greatest thing I ever bought at the time. It had absolutely no bearing on my manlyhood. Fragile masculinity is a hell of a thing. Hey, good on you, Brian and Bixby. What was funny is my dad, for several years growing up, drove a Prius.
Did he really?
Yeah. I don't really know why, because we lived in Omaha, and if you've ever been to Omaha, it's a place where you can get pretty much anywhere in 20 minutes. And so he was not driving terribly far distances by any stretch of the imagination. But yes, I drove it on a few occasions, and let's just say there ain't a lot of power behind it, and it kind of feels like you're driving a tin can. Like it feels like the wind is almost blowing into the vehicle through the windshield and the sheet metal, but it gets great gas mileage.
Since we're on the topic, I'm going to tick some people off, and then we can get to football. I drove in my friend's electric car one time.
What'd you think?
It made me want to get one. There's the smoothest car I've ever driven in my entire life.
That makes sense, but also I would need someone with an electric car to weigh in. How does the experience of recharging an electric car vary in terms of expenditure and also time?
Yeah.
Versus just filling up at the gas station.
But I will say that all that aside, it's a hell of a ride. I'm not gonna lie to you. And they're quiet. Hey, one-star Minnesota Sooner says, Jesse just posted the OU offense predictions, top 30 in offense total and 25th in scoring offense. This must mean he is projecting a playoff berth and competing for an SEC title berth.
I mean, I would think that does it, right? Like if you're top 30 in both offense and defense, you're probably a playoff team at that point. That's a 9-10 win outcome, I would say. And I do expect that Oklahoma's going to be a little bit better statistically on defense than on offense. If that's not the case, I don't know if that's an inherently good thing, a bad thing, or neither. But I think it's fair to expect a little bit more from the defense than from the offense just because of what we know of that unit versus what we think. But yeah, if they're top 30 in both offense and defense, I would say that does the trick, man. I would say you're looking at 9-3 and a playoff berth.
I think it would matter on how the chips fall because top 30, those kind of rankings, those are, cumulative averages, so where do the peaks and valleys come from is going to be the only question as to it. But, I mean, because you look at a team like, you remember the Chargers from 2008 when they had the number 1 offense, number 1 defense, and missed the playoffs? I think I'm getting the year correct. I may be missing it all.
Yeah, I think you're barely off because I remember 2008 was the year the Chargers won like the last 3 games of the regular season, snuck into the playoffs at 8-8.
Was it 2007? One of the within
one
those,
of the LT years.
Yeah, one of the LT years exactly, where they were number 1 offense, number 1 defense, and missed the playoffs. So it's just going to depend on how the chips fall game to game. But I agree with you. If they are top 30 offense and the defense performs as we expect, they'll win 9 games at a minimum.
By the way, this just occurred to me, and I figured I ought to bring it up to you.
Mm-hmm.
We had an all-time pause moment last hour on the show. I don't know if you were listening, but I knew you would appreciate this, and I made a mental note to bring it up to you.
Go ahead.
So I can't recall what story Steely was telling.
That
but
checks out.
He's just like in his – you know how he gets when he's telling one of his old school stories, when he's sharing one of those anecdotes. Like – he gets deep into telling this story, and eventually he says, I believe the exact verbiage was, he was riding those guys hard. And I say, pause. And without missing a beat, Steely just keeps on going. So it was like blink and you missed it. He was riding those guys hard. Pause. And Steely just keeps telling the story. I think we had like 3 or 4 listeners on the text line that acknowledged. I was like, thank you for picking up on that.
Oh, Michael Steely.
Because I guarantee you, he's still unaware it happened.
Oh yeah. Unless he's listening right now on his way back to Steely Manor, he probably still doesn't know that he said anything halfway tawdry.
All right, let's dive back into football. And, of course, we're hanging out today with you on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. The show brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Family-owned and operated. You can get half-price oil changes on Saturdays out there. But if you're looking for a new vehicle, you can't do much better in terms of reliability than GMC. It offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. So check out Dorsey Jones. Our OU training camp coverage is brought to you by ROI Real Estate. Check them out at ROI-RE.com or give them a call at 405-358-3311. Owned and managed by Isaac Christian. Isaac and the ROI team have over 25 years of experience in the real estate industry, and they are capable of handling all things real estate related. Chris from Knoxville says, I was dying laughing when Steely just kept rolling. That's what made it so funny. Like, if he had stopped to giggle and acknowledge it, I'm really not sure it would have hit the way it did. But the fact that he just kept rolling like nothing happened was fantastic.
And there's certain things where it's funnier if he keeps rolling, but then there's others like the ostrich ass conversation that got funnier because he was like, oh, what did I just say?
Christy says, you're a PK, Parker. You're not supposed to pick up on those things. I know. I spend too much time around Grayson now. This is the issue.
What did I do? Also, keep in mind I'm a PK, too.
This is a symbiotic relationship. We may be a negative influence on each other. CJ Sooner in Florida says, Parker and his sissy red hatchback in his Ed Orgeron voice.
3-star Glenn from Nashville says, generally a top 30 offense and defense would mean a 9 or 10 win season.
Yep.
However, in the SEC, the little things matter. Special teams, clock management, injuries. There's so much that can go into actually winning. And those 2 things right there, the first 2 that he mentioned, special teams and clock management, how confident are you that Oklahoma is buttoned up in those regards this year?
You know who I think is going to help a lot with clock management is Kevin Wilson, because he's been a head coach. Now, granted, you can look at his tenures at Indiana and Tulsa respectively and say, well, he hadn't been a very successful head coach, and say that if you will. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but he's been a head coach. Like, he's had to manage those situations, and he's going to be right there in Brent Venables' ear providing support for whatever decisions need to be made with regard to clock management. So that's certainly going to help. I know Ben Arbuckle, who is in general just a really smart dude, is going to have a heavy hand in dealing with those types of things as well. So I don't expect it to be an issue. I don't expect situational game management issues to crop up as often as they have for Oklahoma over the first 3 years of the Venables era. And they've become less frequent. There were a lot of them in 2022. And that was one of the main critiques of Venables was, what are you doing in some of these crucial game situations where you're mismanaging timeouts, the play clock, or what? Like, that was a very significant critique of Brent Venables in 2022, and those issues haven't been completely eliminated, but they've dwindled in terms of frequency over the last couple of years. So 2025, you wouldn't think that there's going to be a ton of that, especially with a guy like Kevin Wilson right there on the sidelines that's had to deal with those things before as a head ball coach.
I would be inclined to agree, but there is this one thing about Brent Venables is now calling the defensive shots. So that can throw a complicated factor into all of this too. So he still has something to prove, and I know he always attacks his job with the mindset that, hey, I've still got to, earn my stay here. I've still got to earn my keep. I've still got to prove that I can be a coach at the college football level as a head man. That's one of the things he's going to have to prove is that I can still manage the game well and call the defense. That's one thing that we have not seen because, like you just alluded to, we have seen him where he calls the defenses as a defensive coordinator. He's excellent. We have seen him manage the game and it be a little bit spotty. So what do the two look like when they're married together? That's going to be one of the things that come the Michigan game, it might come up, but ultimately those SEC games in Tuscaloosa, at South Carolina, at Red River, those are going to be the environments that you look at Brent Venables and say, all right, how are you going to perform when the little minutia of a game can be pointed back to you?
A listener in Kansas said Seth Luttrell had been a head coach. I mean, fair point, but here's something to consider. Where was Seth Luttrell last year? Up in the booth. Kevin Wilson and Ben Arbuckle, they will be on the sidelines. From a communication standpoint, it would stand to reason that that's a lot better arrangement, just in terms of everybody being on the same page. I don't know who's going to be up in the booth. Obviously, there are several coaches that on game days are up in the booth, and Ted Roof called defense from the booth. Obviously, Luttrell and later in the season, Joe John Finley called offense from the booth. I'm not sure who's going to be up in the booth for Oklahoma this year. I have to get an answer on that. 405-651-3439. Fire your OU training camp and recruiting questions at us via text. We're going to hit a quick break, hear from our fine sponsors, and return with more Locked In here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay right here.
This is Sooner linebacker Kobe McKenzie, and you're listening to The Ref, home of the Sooner fans.
Hey, it's Teddy Lehman here. Catch myself and Tyler McComas here on The Ref every weekday afternoon from 3 to 6 on The Rush. No one covers Sooner football like we do, and there's no better way to make sure you never miss a show than by listening in on the KREF app. We might even mention where you're listening from on the Ref Army Locator. If you don't have the app, you can take the home of Sooner fans anywhere you may roam on an iPhone or Android. Just search KREF in your app store to download the app and take the Ref with you everywhere.
Oklahoma DRS helps job seekers with disabilities become taxpayers.
Their whole thing is to help people with disabilities go back to work.
They knew that I would be successful if I did not give up.
They have given me the power and confidence to face any challenge.
I'm just glad that, DRS was there. Empower yourself. Talk to DRS Vocational Rehabilitation.
Or services for the blind today.
OKDRS.gov. 800-487-4042.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
For over 37 years, Bob Maupin has been providing roofing and construction services in Oklahoma for residential and commercial clients. Maupin Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business. They do work right the first time. Maupin Roofing has insurance specialists to work with your insurance company in resolving your damage claims. Call Bob at Maupin Roofing and Construction at 405-703-3843 for your free estimate today. 405-703-3843 or visit maupinroofing.com. Maupin Roofing. Go Sooners.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey guys, it's Dory Noka. Have you been involved in an auto accident? If so, it's time to contact the OKC Car Crash Clinic of Dr. Martin Lopez. He's a board-certified and fellowship MD with unparalleled training and experience. Dr. Lopez works with a great team of healthcare professionals and attorneys to help you achieve the best physical and financial recovery. Contact Dr. Lopez at 405-86-CRASH or at okccrash.com. Don't forget to listen every week to the Dory Noka Show for the Impact Player of the Game, brought to you by Dr. Martin Lopez.
Want to have fun and support a great cause? Well, dust off your boots for Big Brothers Big Sisters inaugural Nashville fundraiser. Join us for the best bites from around town, good drinks, and the sounds of Nashville. All the fun happens on September 12th at Embassy Suites in Norman. To be a Nashville sponsor, buy tickets or make a donation, visit normangala.org. We hope to see you in your country chic attire for tasty eats and cool beats, and it all supports Big Brothers Big Sisters, which provides life-changing mentorships for children. And remember, it takes little to be a big.
It's Locked In, Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton here in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios in the Ref. Grayson, you know who's been getting a lot of pub on OU's social media feeds throughout camp?
Who?
Whit Neubauer.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, yeah.
Yeah.
He might be the most hyped-up third-string quarterback in the country.
They love showing off Whit Neubauer on socials, man. They put out a video the other day on the OU football Twitter account of him connecting with Manny Choice for a long gainer downfield. On that topic, there was a 405 listener that hit the text line at 405-651-3439 to say, Parker, can you clarify if I did in fact hear you say Choice would eventually be better than Thomas, Elijah Thomas that is, and was a guaranteed first-rounder? First off, no, I certainly never said Emmanuel Choice was a guaranteed first-rounder. I have only ever said that one freshman in college would be a guaranteed first-rounder someday because that's a hefty guarantee to make, and the individual that was the subject of that prognostication was Caleb Williams. So that's the one guy that at that point in his development, at that point in his football career, I was confident saying, yep, that's a surefire first-rounder. You just have no idea what's going to happen. For instance, you think about a guy like Caleb Kelly, right? Caleb Kelly played football at Oklahoma for 6 years and played some good ball, made some very impactful, memorable plays during his time at OU, but he was a five-star recruit, and obviously any five-star recruit, especially one that comes in and starts as a true freshman, as Caleb Kelly did, like that's a guy that you figure, okay, he's on a first-round trajectory. But what can you do when you wind up with, what was it, 3 torn ACLs?
Yeah, something like that.
At a certain point, it's out of your hands. And sure, I guess theoretically that could have happened with Caleb Williams too. But in terms of, especially for a wide receiver, in terms of production and target share and what the system looks like, there are just so many variables that, no, I wouldn't feel comfortable asserting Well, and maybe I would have been comfortable saying it with Jeremiah Smith once we saw his first few games at Ohio State last year. But I don't know that you can look at many, if any, freshman wide receivers at the college level and pick them out as surefire first-rounders one day. So, no, I never said that about Emmanuel Choice. I did say, with regard to the comparison between him and Elijah Thomas, that I thought Thomas was more suited for an immediate role. Fact check, true so far. But that Choice does have a higher ceiling. And I stand by that. I still believe that to be true.
Why is that?
Because he is 6'4", 215 pounds.
Okay.
And moves exceptionally well for being that size. So he's a guy that, look, in year one, you're going to see a lot more of Elijah Thomas than you will Emmanuel Choice. But I'm very intrigued by where Choice can go by the end of his career at Oklahoma. What would be a good parallel? A wide receiver that didn't play a ton right off the bat, but by the end of his career was just an absolute baller. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is the physical comparison that I've made to Manny Choice, and that's a lofty comparison. I would say I don't know that Emmanuel Choice is the next CeeDee Lamb, but there are certainly similarities in the way that they play the game and their size and their frame and their athleticism and all those things. But CeeDee Lamb did play quite a bit and started for Oklahoma as a true freshman. So from a trajectory standpoint, that comparison really doesn't hold up. But, yeah, I think Choice is going to take a year or two to really round into form. But once he does, man, he's got limitless potential.
Mark Vigil on the YouTube chat throws in Kenny Stills.
Yeah, okay. Glenn from Nashville said Malcolm Kelly. That holds up. Brian Bixby, Mark Clayton.
D.D. Westbrook.
We're gonna have to get Mark Clayton on the waves here now that we're getting closer to the season. We'll have him do a pregame segment with us one of these days. Always love getting his insights because he still spends a good deal of time around the program. Minnesota Sooner says, is Manny ceiling near Malcolm Kelly? Not sure if he can run like Fort. Boy, he can run.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like, I have very fleeting memories of Malcolm Kelly. I don't necessarily have a complete mental file on Malcolm Kelly, the football player at the University of Oklahoma. But Choice can really run. And he's very agile for being that size. So I am quite enthused by the prospect of what Manny Choice could be, given a couple years to polish his game at Oklahoma. A 620 listener. Where is the 620? That's the state of Kansas, it would appear. He says, new listener here, trying to figure out times for scheduled shows and who is on. I think the info on kref.com needs changed because there's no T-Row anymore. Well, you are right. Drake, if you're listening, Perry, if you're listening, we need to update the website, evidently, because, yes, T-Row and TJ are no longer doing 6 to 9. It's really easy. I'll run it down for you. The Plank Show from 6 to 9 a.m., featuring Plank and Blake Gamble. The Dari Noka Show from 9 to 12, featuring the SEC Network's lead anchor, Dari Noka, as well as our own Josh Helmer. Steely and Thune at noon from 12 to 2, featuring yours truly, as well as Oklahoma radio icon Mike Steely. You get me and Grayson from 2 to 3 for Locked In. And then The Rush is 3 to 6, taking you home from the workday with Tyler McComas and the Butt Kiss Award winner himself, Teddy Lehman. So, same schedule every day, not a whole lot of variation there. Obviously, we may mix and match at times when people are on vacation and such, but that's your regular lineup.
4-star Brian in Bixby says, Grayson, do they still not have your picture and name on the website? Good question. I have not looked at the website. Also, this is kind of out of my hands, whether they do or not.
A 580 listener says Malcolm Kelly's 40 times were 4.68, 4.77. So I hope to the Lord that Manny at least has that kind of speed. Yes, he does. So he can certainly run like Malcolm. Yes. Sooner Bump says love watching Malcolm play and rap.
Yeah.
One of the iconic moments in OU football history. Probably the most iconic. Like, it's up there between him and Charles Thompson on the cover of Sports Illustrated, which was obviously for less stellar reasons. In terms of off-field moments and developments for OU football, that's about as iconic as it gets.
No, my name and picture are still not on the website.
Really?
I'm sure they'll get that updated.
Oh yeah, I mean it took them like 2 years when I joined the staff for them to get my name and picture up there. So trust me, not an issue that's exclusive to your situation.
They still have your picture up there where you look like you're 14.
I probably was. No, I mean that's probably a headshot from 2021. So I was 22 then. Yeah, I was young when me and Steely started doing the show. Scott T says the refs' website visits just skyrocketed. KREF.com, folks. That's how you tap in with us. And obviously, many of you listen via the app, which is the best way to listen, especially if you're out of state. Just download the KREF app, and you can take us anywhere.
Slim Brady just sent us an interesting text. I don't know if this is like lyric. Oh no, this is Malcolm Kelly's.
Yeah. Oh yes, it's a direct transcript.
It is. I was like, what is this? And then I looked at it a couple times. Like, oh, that's what this is. Nebraska Cornhuskers is in the middle of it, though. Did you see those new unis that they released?
The blackout unis?
No, not the blackout ones. Either this was a sketch or they actually released these like a corn themed.
Oh yeah, no, that was AI.
Is that a sketch? Okay. Damn, because I almost sent that to you.
AI is everywhere these days, folks. And that's not a good reality in society. The one criticism I have of Malcolm Kelly's rap, and look, I'm not going to pretend that I could do any better because I couldn't. It's an excellent freestyle for the most part. But he says, let me sit sideways like 5 times. He just keeps going back to it. It's kind of his crutch in a sense throughout the rap. Other than that, flawlessly done, Malcolm. Solid 9 out of 10.
But see, I'm not going to crush somebody for having a couple crutch words in something that I know you're doing off the dome.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, he ripped it, man. He ripped it. Even took the dig at Nebraska because they had just beaten them in the Big 12 championship game. Managed to slide that one in. Larry from Caston says, KREF needs a weekend lineup. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. We like having weekends off, though.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, weekends aren't off because we're covering football or I'm out covering recruiting.
I need my Sundays because football game days, I know I'm still young, but that takes years off my life.
Okay. Back to ROI Real Estate OU training camp talk here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A-Train, we were following up on our comments, I should say, from last segment regarding game management. What are you cracking up at?
Casey, our boss here, just told me to tell you, please tell Parker that his car is orange.
It's not orange. I wouldn't have purchased it if it was orange. I know better than that. A-Train says, reading my comment this morning, because it's the details that kill in close games like penalties and job assignments. Why do we need Kevin Wilson to call a timeout? Because we have a coach that's doing OJT to learn to coach. What is OJT? Should I know that acronym?
No.
Do you know that acronym?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite following you on that one, A-Train. I might be dense.
Here we go. On the job training.
Oh, okay. Tracking.
Nope. That didn't know that one.
Yeah. And no, I don't think it's the case that Kevin Wilson needs to teach Brent Venables about coaching. It's just that, look, when you're in the heat of battle and you're not a well-seasoned head coach responsible for managing all of the big picture stuff, then things can slip through the cracks at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So the more people you have just to call attention to things, like, hey, we got to get this play in, or, hey, we got to call this timeout, or, hey, here's the situation with our timeouts versus the clock in these last 2 minutes and how we best line everything up to maximize the amount of snaps we can take or minimize the amount of snaps we have to take in certain cases. The more input you have, the more eyes you have on those types of things, the better off you're going to be, and the less likely you will be to have a blatant lapse that can be quite costly.
But I will say, to the texter's point, I do think it looks a little strange in terms of, especially if you want your coach to be one of the best in college football, that does look a little strange when you got to hire somebody to be in his ear. And this brings back just an insane amount of PTSD, because the last time I heard about something like this was when Nathaniel Hackett hired a coach to do game management stuff for him. And me as a Broncos fan, remember, that didn't end up very well. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with Venables in Oklahoma, but when we talk about the best coaches in college football and in football in general, a lot of the times, those are the guys that can get the clock right, can manage the timeouts, manage the play clock, and things of that nature themselves.
That was 2022, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett was the head coach of the Broncos. He's lucky that he was kind of directly in the shadow of Urban Meyer's disastrous tenure in Jacksonville in 2021. Otherwise, he would probably be regarded as the worst NFL head coach of the 21st century.
Yeah.
It's hard to get much worse than Urban in Jacksonville there in 21.
We had 30 people hit the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line and tell us what OJT means, which leads me to believe that has to be a generational chasm.
Perhaps.
Because I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, neither have I. But I'm not the world's smartest man. Fortunately, we have a lot of smart people on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line that can fill in the gaps for us. Okay, let's get a word in from our sponsors. We'll return with one final segment of OU training camp talk. A couple recruiting storylines that we'll dig into as well. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Keep it here. This is the home of Sooner fans.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
The City of Norman encourages you to shop small this summer. What better place to eat, shop, and play local than historic Main Street in downtown Norman? With over 65 years of experience, Mr. Robert Fine Furniture and Design stands for quality. Family-owned in the heart of Norman, their exquisite showroom is filled with unique items from around the globe. The historic Sooner Theater is a summer staple and a must-see downtown. See great local theater, concerts, or attend performing arts classes. Find upcoming events and tickets at SoonerTheater.org. Visit Oklahoma's premier art gallery specializing in Native American, Oklahoman, and Western art. Find original art, pottery, jewelry, made in Oklahoma products, and so much more at Tribes Gallery on Main Street in the heart of Norman. Join the City of Norman and keep it local this summer when you eat, shop, and play in downtown Norman.
Back to school means back to routines, and seeing a Norman Regional doctor should be one of them. Sports physicals, wellness visits, sick care, chronic condition management for the kids and for you. Norman Regional has primary care clinics across South Central Oklahoma, so don't wait until someone's sick. Start the school year off strong with a family medicine provider who can treat everyone. Find your family doctor by calling 405-515-5000 or book an appointment online at normanregional.com.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money, they're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress, we'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it expanding your balance. Spend it expanding your mind. Spend it wondering what comes next. Spend it trusting that God has a plan. Spend it taking small steps in your own life. Spend it making a big impact on someone else's. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
The Mont invites you to come by and enjoy our high-quality food and drinks in our historic atmosphere. The Mont has won numerous awards, including Best Restaurant in Norman, Best Appetizer for our great queso, Best Exotic Drink for the original swirl, the Best Patio Dining for our beautifully landscaped patio. Come see the Town Tavern OU football scoreboards dating back to 1947. We'll see you at the Mont on the corner of Boyd and Classen, or call us at 329-3330. Hi, everybody. Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family. Men's and Ladies Golf Association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
Introducing Janiking, the greatest team to ever clean. We take pride in maintaining spotless environments, allowing local businesses to shine better than ever before. With our cutting-edge technology and expert team, we ensure every nook and cranny is pristine at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. That's right, Janiking is proud to be a partner of OU football and OU athletics. For commercial cleaning services, go to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. Janiking, the king of clean, and go Sooners.
Seems like a lot of people that hit the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line to let us know what OJT stood for have a military background, which makes perfect sense. I should have, this is generally what I do and what I should have done. Whenever I see an acronym I don't recognize, I always just ask my wife, because folks that are in the military, it's like they have an entire language, man, of acronyms. Like, because my wife, she and her sister, well, there are several members of her family that are in the military, but she and her sister are both in the military, and her sister has been spending the weekends with us because she's been on assignment down in Fort Sill and Lawton this month. And so they'll sit there on the couch at night, and they'll drink their glasses of wine, and they'll just speak in acronyms, man. Like, I have no concept of what they're talking about, but it all rolls off the tongue so easily to them. It makes perfect sense. Like, it is essentially their own code or their own language that they have, because there's acronyms and shorthands for everything in the military. It's like, it's like it's kind of like the Michael Scott meme. I love inside jokes. I'd love to be a part of one someday.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I am not a part of the in crowd when it comes to the military.
So do they ever translate into civilian language for you, or they just leave you on the outside looking in?
If I ask them to, then yes. Kyle from Salasaw says, I turned 29 last week, and I feel old now. WTF is OJT. Thank you. See, Kyle, I'm not the only one. Not the only one. Brad from Mustang says, no military here, but definitely a generational type thing. I'm 45 and heard it at my current employer when I started work here in 2004. So, yeah. Brian in Bixby says, your generation texts almost entirely in acronyms. Okay, that's fair.
That is
somewhat
valid.
Man, I tell you, I see so many acronyms that people will use on social media that I'm like, first off, I'm like trying to piece together from context clues what this could possibly signify, while also wondering, am I supposed to just know this off the dome? Am I supposed to be this well-versed in text and social media shorthand that I mean, it didn't take me too long to figure out, but, like the first time I saw IJBOL, I'm like, what am I looking at? I just burst out laughing.
Who the hell uses that? I've never heard that in my life.
Well, what this means is you're not online enough, and this is probably a good thing.
I use two ways to signify that. LMAO, or I will say I'm crying. IJBOL, my Jesus.
J-Dub says FJA is an acronym for bad quarterback play.
That it is.
Ultimate Web Hunter said they are definitely talking about you in code.
Probably.
Okay, let's get back to OU training camp talk. Again, brought to you by ROI Real Estate. www.roi-re.com. I can't even say acronyms. We've talked so much about acronyms, it's scrambled my brain. ROI Real Estate, ROI-re.com. Owned and managed by Isaac Christian. He and his team have over 25 years of experience and are capable of handling all things real estate related. Austin Dave would like to know, since y'all mentioned special teams, how are kickers and punters looking? Well, Austin Dave, they're looking how kickers and punters should look in the context of practice. Because, like, for instance, if you rewind to the Crimson Combine, it didn't take a Rhodes Scholar. If you were there that day, or I can't recall whether that was streamed somewhere or not, but if you were there that day and you watched Austin Welch attempting field goals, you were probably thinking, okay, that's not what it should look like. I am alarmed. OU was also alarmed. That's why they went out and got Tate Sandell from UTSA.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about kicking, as anybody that's done it will attest to, is that it's all so mental. And it is one thing to make a kick on the practice field. It is an entirely different thing to make a kick in front of 85,000 people that are screaming. And so, realistically, when you're competing at the P4 level, kickers should be making their field goals on the practice field. If you can't make a field goal in front of 80 people, obviously there's not going to be a lot of faith that you can make a field goal in front of 85,000. Punting, Oklahoma will be solid in that department. I don't think that if there's much of a drop-off from Luke Elzinga to Jacob Ulrich, because Luke Elzinga was a really good punter, I don't think there will be a substantial drop-off. Ulrich is a guy that averaged 45-plus net yards per punt last year at Kennesaw State, which is pretty fantastic. So they should be more than capable of effectively playing the field position game. And with Tate Sandell handling the place kicks, there should be additional stability in that regard. Liam Evans, the redshirt freshman from Moore, Oklahoma, I think I brought him up last week as well, but he's also been really on his P's and Q's and really sharp when he's gotten the chance to put the ball between the uprights. So, yes, special teams, they've been anything but special for OU in recent years. They should be better in 2025. A 405 listener says, WAGA-DCY. We got a depth chart yet? Tuesday, folks, if not sooner. Maybe, and I can recall in certain years, the game notes and the packet with the depth chart on it have gotten uploaded to Soonersports.com even before Brent Venables' first week of press conference. But his first week of press conference comes next Tuesday, and so you will not have to wait any longer than that for the first depth chart of the 2025 season for Oklahoma. Let me throw this at you. If there is a legit surprise on the opening depth chart, what do you think it is and where is it?
Ooh, this is a good one. Let me tell you the place where I hope there isn't a surprise.
Okay.
Anywhere on the offensive line. I think that's one place where we don't need to be surprised at. Where do I think it could come? I'm going to take corner out of this because they played so well that we wouldn't be surprised where that's good. Like, if anybody's going to be. I'll say tight end. I'll say tight end, and I'll say in one of the inside backers. I think that's where you could see something where you say, oh, I didn't project that to be the case. Like, what if Jaren Kanak and Carson Kent aren't tight end one? That might be a shock. What if Kobe McKenzie and Kip or Kip Lewis isn't? That's the only ones I can see a surprise with that sort of shock factor.
I think tight end is probably the correct answer because there are certain battles where it could go one of two ways. For instance, left guard. Eddie Pierre-Louis, Heath Ozida, that competition has raged on throughout camp, and Ozida has the inside track right now, but still a battle. Strong side defensive end, Marvin Jones and Taylor Wine. That's a battle.
Mm-hmm.
I like Marvin Jones to start right now, but it's a battle. there's a battle at Cheetah between Kendall Daniels and Reggie Powers, man. There's a battle there. But at tight end, it's interesting because it's a tightly contested battle between no fewer than 4 guys. Like there's all 4 of Jaren Kanak, Carson Kent, Will Huggins, and Caden Helms have made a case to start. It would not shock me if any of those 4 guys are atop the depth chart next week. Now, I would be more surprised if it was Will Huggins and or Caden Helms as opposed to Jaren Kanak and or Carson Kent. If I had to put money on it, I'm probably rolling with Kent right now to be the first team tight end. But that battle could legit go 4 different ways. So generally speaking, when you have surprises on the depth chart, that's not a great thing, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because, like, for instance, even if you have a true freshman that shows up first team on the depth chart, like, it's not going to be surprising at this point if Cortland Guillory is listed as a starter opposite Gentry Williams, but that's because Cortland Guillory has had a very well-documented and phenomenal offseason. Everybody knows Cortland Guillory is a guy for Oklahoma. Everybody knows that he's going to be in the mix to start. So, for instance, when, like, Obi Obialo breaks camp as a starter for Oklahoma wide receiver in 2020, that's probably an indication things aren't great at that position group, and things weren't great. Marvin Mims, true freshman Marvin Mims, was the most reliable option at that position OU had that year.
Mm-hmm.
Although Charleston Rambo didn't play poorly either. But Obi Obialo, man, that was a weird year. Kylan Brokenbow says they got Grayson's picture up on the site. That was fast. Wow, look at that.
Wait, they did? Cue the I didn't know Grayson was that text in 3, 2, 1.
It was hilarious. We had people calling the station yesterday after a certain comment Grayson made that did not realize he was not of the Caucasian persuasion.
Yeah, that probably gave a lot of people a jump scare.
Yeah, there was a budding controversy in some folks' minds. But
yeah. I can say what I said.
Big Wink says, who are we thinking is return guys this year? You know, I think Oklahoma's going to use several different guys in the return game. The guy you'll probably see the most of will be Isaiah Satania, and I think that's for the best. You get a speedy youngster, you know, a guy like Zion Reagans, for instance, or even somebody like Elijah Thomas. I think there are some folks that are enamored with the idea of what a guy like that could provide in the return game. But generally speaking, and I think Marvin Mims, whom I just mentioned, is a great example of this, especially when you're talking about punt return. The most important thing is that a guy isn't actively disadvantaging you. And you just want him, first and foremost, to catch the ball. To catch the ball, if he gets a return, great. But if he just fair catches that sucker and sets you up with decent field position every time, you'll take that. That was Marvin Mims, man. Seldom did he pop off wondrous returns. It wasn't until he got to the NFL that he started to become recognized as a legit dangerous return man. But he caught the football every dang time when he was at Oklahoma. Still waiting for Oklahoma to snap the kick return route, because that is a drought, man. It has been almost a decade since Oklahoma returned a kick for a touchdown. The last man to do it.
It's been that long.
The last man to do it was Joe Mixon in September of 2016 against Ohio State. It has been forever.
And those kind of plays can usually turn games in the SEC. U.S. Army Sooner in Edmond says, definitely looks like a Hellcat, dude. Also, where on the website is my picture? Because I guess I just have it. It hasn't updated in my browser because it still looks like the same one. Obviously, not a big deal.
Maybe our final text of the show, but Past My Prime wants to know. Asked this yesterday, had to jump in a meeting, may have missed it. Do you think Kanak will still get a shot in the NFL? I really hope the way it has gone down with him having to switch doesn't hurt his chances. Jaren Kanak, in my mind, will absolutely get a shot in the NFL. Does that mean he makes the NFL? Does that mean he cracks a 53-man roster? Who knows? But a guy like that is absolutely going to get a shot because he's just a freaky athlete.
I was going to say,
And-
just because
yeah.
of how athletic he is.
Yeah, no, he'll get a camp invite. He'll get a try. He'll get something, even if he's not selected in the NFL draft. There will be some NFL team that looks at Jaren Kanek's testing numbers and his diverse resume at the collegiate level and thinks, we could have something here. We could do something with this. He might go the Jack Besh route and make the reverse conversion from tight end to wide receiver. I don't think that's out of the question for Jaren Kanek.
That'd be a freaky wide receiver.
I mean, he could be a special teams demon for 15 years like Matthew Slater.
Or a Chris Banjo, one of those guys.
Yeah, shoot. I think there's a variety of things that Jaren Kanek could do at the next level, and I think he'll get his shot to prove that he can stick on an NFL roster. It's just a matter of, A, what he does this fall in 2025 to set himself up for that opportunity, and then obviously what he does with that opportunity once it presents itself. Okay, folks. That's a wrap.
We out of here.
We're done. One more edition of Locked In between now and the first college football weekend of 2025. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again at 2 o'clock. The Rush is next with Teddy Lehman